welcome to Exploring Southern Oregon's Roads. I am here in Deschutes County, Douglas County in the Deschutes National Forest. We're up near Union Creek. I just turned off of Highway 62. This is Ginkgo Road. I did take a moment to check the maps this time, and I'm gonna have to avoid one road that I really do want to showcase, but it is shown as closed by the Forest Service. I will be hopefully coming out above Union Creek, and I'm gonna detour down to Union Creek after the video to eat a snack. Most part today though, other than a short section coming right up, will be on unpaved roads. This is mostly new to me. I've been up some of these roads, but not all of them. There's one side road we'll be going down, at least. Temperature today is, well, sunny and cold. It is 40 degrees here. I expect that to maybe come up to 70 by the time I'm leaving today. Go ahead and sit back and relax and enjoy the video. Went past it. This is the side road I want to go down today. The road on the right is closed, but this road on the left was actually shown as open on the map, so we're gonna go down it. There are camping areas up here. I believe that this is public use land, so you don't have to pay. This isn't a campground. It's also fairly highly trafficked, so don't bank on lots of privacy out here. I do believe the Forest Service recently resurfaced this road. Last summer I termed this road the dustiest road on the planet. Down here wasn't too bad, but further up they had just graded the road, and it'll be obvious there's some drainage cutouts going through the road and then off the side further up, and up there was where it got really, really dusty. Going 10 miles per hour, the dust kicked up was so thick you couldn't actually see what was behind you. Like you couldn't see trees or anything. It was pretty dense. I got out and walked around a few times, and there was like a 2-inch layer of light dirt on top of the packed soil, and even taking a step in it, you just aerate and kick it up into the air around your feet. So even walking, you kick up a cloud of dust. It's been cooler, and there's been a lot of moisture in the air up here. There's been some fog and a little bit of rain, so that has been tamped down. There goes a squirrel. Personally, I like to go pretty slow up here. You will frequently encounter people going the other way, even on a side road like this. So it makes sense to have a low speed so that if the road's too narrow for you to go by side, one person can at least determine where the best spot to pull out is. It's also polite. Having manners is a good thing, even out here. So this is where the dust was really bad last summer, and it obviously is, moisture has packed the soil down quite a bit. But it hasn't turned to mud, which is good. Ow, my spine. Here's one of those drainage cutouts. And another one. It looks like what they basically did is just took a bulldozer and then went sideways across the road with it. And that will enable the water when it rains to drain off the side of the road without eroding the entire road away. It tends to make a very deep cut straight through the middle of the road, but that tends to be very easy to repair compared to basically resurfacing the entire road again. Right appears to be kind of a camping area. That road doesn't actually go anywhere. It's like a parking spot. Temperatures dropped down to 40 up here. I fully expect to see 35 up where I'm going to be going pretty soon, though. been foggy last night. This road does end pretty soon. I'll just turn around and go back the other way and then go back up Ginkgo Road some more. Here's kind of an idea on what the cutout looks like off the side of the road. That one's a little more extreme than most of them. I'm pretty sure that's gonna have some mud at the bottom. It doesn't actually go anywhere. So, I mean, it drains back towards the creek on the left. That's deeper than I remember it being last time I was here. I didn't lose traction, but I did follow the rut unwillingly. Might be someone camping up ahead. I see tire tracks that are fresh. This area up here in the winter tends to get a lot of snow. Snow base up here can be several feet deep. This road would be completely impassable unless you were on snowshoes. Maybe on a snowmobile. Due to how steep the hillside is, though, even though the road is mostly flat, it would probably be pretty side grade heavy for a snowmobile. But I don't have an experience with snowmobile, so I don't know how hard that would really be to drive. Maybe some locals or some people from the general area here have actually tried that on a snowmobile in the winter and can tell me what it's like. This may not be open to snowmobiles either. This may be the last time I can actually get up here this winter because this soil tends to be very slippery when it gets wet. It turns into a very I don't have the tires for it. It's a mud that I can't really handle in this all-wheel drive or not. Plastic covered piles of the wood and leaves are from the Forest Service. It's part of their plans for reducing fire risks. They collect a lot of the dead material from the forest floor, they pile it like that, and then they wait for a time when there's heavy rain forecast, and it has rained already, and then they will burn it. I believe this road exists originally for the purpose of allowing easier access to the hills around here for them to collect up those large piles of fuel debris. Some of them are gigantic. This right here is essentially the end of the road. I have gone further. The one on the right is not a road, that is caterpillar tracks. But here's that mud I was talking about, and this isn't too bad here, but I know around the corner on the left there, it becomes impassable for my vehicle, so I'm going to go ahead and turn around behind me. I'm getting all kinds of bad fumes from my Subaru. I think it's going to die soon. I don't know why reverse sounds like that, but it has since the day I got it, so don't know. I know this transmission was broken at one point, opened up and repaired. Previous owner. They left their receipts in the glove box. Camera doesn't really show very well, but this is actually quite steep in places here. Getting warm enough now I can turn off the heat. Difficulty for driving on this side road isn't too bad. I think a economy sedan front-wheel drive wouldn't have any difficulty with this during the summer, as long as it hasn't rained. Something really low like a Prius or a Corvette would probably not have a fun time here, but it would be passable if you didn't really care if your front lip remained part of the vehicle. Rear-wheel drive pickup truck would have no trouble with this at all. This road doesn't really require anything special other than a little ground clearance. We're a little faster through that than I intended. Oh well. So when I get back down to Ginkgo Road and I turn left onto the road, there's a road that goes straight, and that goes to the Mill Creek Campground. According to the maps, that's closed. I'm on, I believe this is National Forest Service land, so it's not state-owned. And the edge of the border of the Forest Service land is right on that road there, and that road goes off of Forest Service land into county-owned land, I believe. That campground, I think, is county maintained versus up here is federally maintained. So that's might not be on the map for that reason, but it's also shown as closed. And it's been apparent from the last time I came up here last weekend that has been getting some attention from the someone. Roads got large sharp-edged shale on it. So I think they're putting it in as a drainage layer. The campground is also shown as closed, so I don't know. I'll heed the sign and not go that way. That road, for the most part, is about the same difficulty as this, but there are some low points on that near the creek, and you may end up hitting some very slippery mud. That campground, though, has another entrance. That entrance is much better maintained. It's also flatter and it's short, so even a Prius or a Corvette should have no trouble getting from the highway to that campground if you really needed to. I wouldn't go past the campground though in a Corvette, unless you're Cletus McFarlane, and then you don't care. That guy has a couple 7-second Corvettes. Man, you could take Leroy up here. Doesn't have bumpers. Leroy's a car, for those that aren't interested in his YouTube channel. Up further, going up Ginkgo Road, for the most part, it's also very easy difficulty. And your front-wheel drive sedan or whatever should have no trouble driving that in the summertime. If you go down any of the side roads, you're going to start encountering things that are more intended for ATVs and dirt bikes to drive on. Seeing the main road is a pretty solid way to go. I do have a GPS up that will give me a hint on what road I'm on. The roads themselves aren't actually displayed, so it's limited in usefulness. And that's another thing you're going to encounter up here, is that your GPS might be able to tell you the name of the road you're on, but if you're lost and you hit Take Me Home, most GPSs, including the one on my phone, are going to display a message that basically says, proceed to the nearest paved road. So that's a tool you can't necessarily rely upon. When exploring roads, especially ones that I haven't looked at on a map and I'm not familiar with in any way, shape, or form, I tend to do a set turn. So if I come up on if I'm driving down a dirt road and it's a main road like Ginkgo Road, you can tell it's highly trafficked, and then there's a split in the road, I 99.9% of the time will take what looks like to still be the main road. However, if it's indistinguishable which one is the main road and which one is not, I'll take a right or a left, depending on how I'm feeling that day. And every time I come up to a split in the road, I'll take the same direction. And then if I get tired and want to go home, I just know I need to go take lefts until I hit the main road again. Once I become more familiar with the area, I'll start exploring the side roads. But usually by then I've become really interested and I've looked it up on Google Maps, so. Also, it would make sense to come come up in a group. I don't have any local friends, so that's not really an option for me, but get some friends together, a couple vehicles, some supplies. Hey, let's go explore some roads. And then if you get lost or you have a car or truck breakdown, then it's not really that big of a deal. You're still going to get home at the end of the day. Unless you're going up a steep side road and the car at the very end like explodes its motor everywhere and the transmission locks up solid and you can't just get it out of the way and can't go around it. I don't know how frequent that would happen to people, though. Also, it makes sense to tell people where you're going if you're not going in a group. Unless you're really crazy like me, I don't tell anyone where I'm going. I don't have cell signal up here either, so that's even more fun. But it adds to the sense of adventure if you don't have a safety net. But I don't have friends or family here, so there's not a whole lot at risk if I don't come home tonight. If you have kids that rely on you, maybe come out with a safety net. I'll probably be doing some snow exploration. For the most part, the roads here are too steep and quite frankly scary when it snows, but there are a few that I do know of. They're also pretty well traveled, so that's not so much an issue. I'm actually more experienced exploring in the snow than I am during the summer. There's usually an area I like going in the summer, but I always go there. It's a cool spot with nice views, some shade. It's pretty remote. I don't like the heat of summer, so that's my kind of getaway. But I like exploring in the snow. I wouldn't do any kind of preparation on a vehicle to come up here that's, special. If you've got a pickup truck and you've got, all-terrain tires, you run for off-roading, and then you've got highway tires for the rest of the time, I'd leave the highway tires on for up here. You won't need all-terrain tires unless it's really muddy, and in that case, I would suggest not coming up here. And it's not that it's too dangerous, but it's too hard on the road. When you're driving in that mud, it tears the road apart, and then the Forest Service has to come up here and repair it or resurface it. So there are some roads that I would say, hey, if it's raining, be careful, but you can drive them. But up here, this type of soil tends to get very muddy. There's a creek down there on the right. There's a bird in the road. There we go. I try not to disturb wildlife if possible. Mostly, though, I just wanted to get a good look at that bird. I can't identify it because I'm not an expert, but I'll Google the crap out of it when I get home, and if I can figure out how, I'll put a little text box in with some info on it. This isn't really a good place to come if you want to see wildlife. roads are heavily trafficked, believe it or not, at times at least, and that tends to move wildlife away from them. Deer and other animals tend to not like to hear vehicles. So that road directly ahead there is closed. There was someone on the right there that stopped for me for an unknown reason. I was stopping anyways. Oh, they don't know where they're going. They're still stopped. Wildlife. Yes, you weren't going to see a whole lot of wildlife up here. It's kind of a sad thing, but there's enough people up here frequently enough that it will push them away from the roads. Maybe see some deer, maybe see birds. If you come up here at night, you might have a chance of seeing a bear or a cougar, but fairly certain that unless you come up here a lot, you're not going to see much. Foxes, on the other hand, you might see more frequently. So we're back on Ginkgo Road, as mentioned before. There's a side road coming up called Injun Creek Road. I've been down it a ways. It dead ends. I believe there may be a trailhead at the end of it, but I don't know for sure. Appears to be disused. Another thing that kind of pushes wildlife away from these roads is the fact that people camp here and bring dogs, and dogs do tend to, well, if they're not on a leash, they'll chase wildlife. Some of them, at least. See a bear, stay away from it. They can and will destroy you. If you see it and it's somewhat distant and it's not like running away, stay in your car and take pictures. I don't know what else to say. So it looks like someone was camping up here in a group, and they're breaking down and going home. kind of ironic. I've gone up in elevation probably about 300 feet from where I was before, and the temperature went from 40 to 45. I mean to put a altimeter on my phone so I can say what altitude I'm at, but it's the mountains. If you do want to come up here and you do want to have a map to at least have a chance of figuring out where you are, print it off. Without cell signal, my phone completely forgot where all these roads were, so only the main highways and side roads, paved roads, are downloaded, I believe, in most apps. Now look at that dust. Was another camping spot. There's another cattle loading ramp. There's a pen there too. I don't know if I'd want to put a cow in there, or horse, or anything for that matter. Probably more sheep. I don't know if sheep. This is Oregon. I don't think we really do a lot of sheep farming here. Yep, there's some people camping there on the right. Jumped up to 50. So I'm heading east right now. To the northeast is Crater Lake. I will be skirting, I guess, if I can find my way, the edge of Crater Lake National Park. There's another set of roads further up towards the actual, I think they're actually in the park or right on the edge of it. But they are mostly used by snowmobiles in the wintertime. I think they're open to cars and trucks during the summer, though. I mean, the snowmobile trails are open to cars and trucks, but when there are snowmobiles on those trails, I don't think cars or trucks would be able to pass it unless they had heavily modified the vehicles. That's Indian Creek Road right on the left there. I'm not planning on exploring that one today. It's kind of ironic how it was actually quite a bit cooler down in the valleys and little gullies below, but it does make some sense. This area, and I'm talking geographically pretty broad, Southern Oregon, Central Oregon, Northern California, even into Idaho a little bit, there's low spots in the landscape, and it tends to trap cold air there at night. cool off in the valleys, especially if it's been humid or raining. And you go up a little bit in altitude, even at night, and the air gets quite warm comparatively. The Rogue Valley is like that. It'll be 30 degrees at night and then 40 degrees during the day. If you go up to the top of Mount Ashland, it's 40, 45 at night, and it's 50, 55 during the day. There's an inversion layer causing that. That's why the Rogue Valley sucks during the wintertime, is that inversion layer will form, and it will hold a lot of moisture, of pollutants down in the valley. And a lot of people in the Rogue Valley are unable to afford modern heating, so they use wood stoves, and wood stoves make a lot of particulate smoke, so it gets trapped in the valley, and then you end up just breathing it for weeks at a time, and I find it very unpleasant. Of course, it does get very cold up in the mountains during the winter too. Mount Ashland, I think, gets into the minus 30s pretty frequently. Minus 20s is pretty common. Some of the more western peaks get even colder. The snow there tends to be very deep in the winter. It's almost warm enough to roll the windows down. Not sure if I'll have uploaded other videos by now or in the future, but I've complained about my driver door tweeter a lot. It rattles, and that's that annoying rattle now. I think from now on, when I do off-road exploration videos, I'll temporarily remove it. I don't listen to music when I drive, so I wouldn't really miss the tweeter anyways. Heck, I'd unplug it now and throw it in the back seat, but I don't have a screwdriver with me. I've jammed tape all over the inside of it trying to shut it up, but it still rattles. There's a second rattle somewhere in the dash that I can't find. I think it's a wire. At some point today, I do plan on recording some 1080p video at 30 FPS with my cell phone. I bought a windshield mount just for that, and I want to compare the quality between my cell phone and the GoPro. I think this GoPro is defective, maybe. The quality of the video is just terrible, and I'm trying to figure out if that's a camera problem or if it's just the fact that I'm going in and out of shadows a lot when driving, or what. Regardless, I don't really like the GoPro. I don't have $500 to spend on a Hero 8 Black either. $600? $650? That's an old Access type of wildlife you'll see a lot of up here. Chipmunks, squirrels. There's a very hardy chipmunk that lives at high altitudes, southern Oregon, and that was one of them. There's also gray squirrels, the big gray ground squirrels, and there's a third squirrel. It's smaller than the big gray ground squirrel, but we also have rats, mice, and there's a type of chuck up here too. Those aren't very uncommon chucks. We got bobcats and cougars for felines, and we got coyotes, foxes, and that's it for the canines. Wild. No more wolves out here. This used to be wolf territory, hardcore, until they got hunted to extinction. That was before my time. Habit I got into was slowing down whenever there's a turn I can't see around. When I was in my 20s, I would just floored it going up here because I could have seen further, but I don't really feel like doing that anymore. I'm too old for that. Oh, back in my day. God, that rattle is really annoying. Squirrels. Bounce, bounce, bounce. Stop the rattle. I'm surprised. It's gonna start again, but that's weird because it's not actually the tweeter that's rattling, it's the wiring from the tweeter in the door. I think I know how to fix it now. I just need to get a tube of fabric and just slide it down the wiring into the door. So the temperature is dipped back down to 45. So there's probably an inversion layer further down where it's cooler. But then above that inversion layer it gets cooler again anyways. Or it's one of those things where there's a bunch of inversion layers stacked on top of each other. Or it's some sort of a conspiracy. Who knows? furthest I've ever explored on this road. Right up here. I gotta go down that. It doesn't go very far. And it's... That's not it. Somewhere else. Yeah. It's pretty close by here, though. It's, on the border of being impassable. In one spot. That's not it on the left either. Oh, that pile of debris was in here last time I came through. Wonder if something shifted. There's another squirrel. Kind of scary looking up the side of a hill there and seeing a large log. There's nothing holding it in place except for a couple of rotting stumps. this looks, that sign there on the right had signage that makes it look like this is a cross-country ski area in the winter. So, yeah, you can't bring your snowmobile up here in the winter. Seems like it's a bad time to be a hunter. There's a disease running through the deer population, and I don't think I would want to eat a deer right now. I think it was a wasting disease. All the deer in Jacksonville and Ashland looked like they were 3/4 dead for a long time. Large chunks of fur missing, and they're super skinny, and just lethargic. I usually advocate for not coming up here during the winter when, not the winter, but during hunting season. Give the hunters this area to themselves. But of course I completely forgot. I think it's pretty much wrapped up now. Anyways, I think last weekend was the big, it was really busy up here. Lunchtime. Like a hunting access road on the left, or I mean on the right, and then this road here on the left, that's the one that I went down. It doesn't look bad at the start, and it's not too bad at the little clearing where it ends. There's a section in the middle that's a bit tricky. Spot to eat lunch there. I just don't want to go through that tricky section, so my method for dealing with this rattle is becoming ineffective. Might just have to put up with it for the rest of this video, and then hopefully by next video I will have something jammed down that wiring harness to stop it from rattling. I mean, if that doesn't work, I've got wire cutters, so let's take some side cutters. Delete the offending rattling wire. My luck, it'll actually be the wire for the mirror. That's the wire I'm not going to delete. actually an air current blowing that cool air up because it's warmer up here again. It's back up to 50. Oh yeah, it's pleasant out there. All this stuff in the back seat isn't rattling around like crazy. Normally I clean it out, but today I was motivationally challenged, so I just left it there. Right, I think, from what I remember on the map. I don't know, I'm using my turn signal. There's no one else here except me. Blue Jay. Actually, that's a Stellar Jay thing. Yep. A road on the left. I wouldn't want to drive anything other than a really capable ATV down that now. Don't know what road this is. I think it's 300. Someone shot the top of the sign off, or it broke off from snow or whatever. All I know is it was a number that's missing and then 2 zeros. And I was on road 7 something, and now it says 823 is ahead, so this is probably road 800. but the road I'm on is gonna loop around to the left there. I think that's Crater Lake visible off in the very far distance on the left too. Or not Crater Lake, but Mount Mazama. Yeah, that's Mount Mazama up there. So back many years ago, before white people made it to North America, in fact, probably a long time before that, there was a mountain in southern Oregon that erupted volcanically. And top of the mountain blew clean off, and it erupted, and it blew out so much material that the top of it collapsed into a caldera, and then it filled with water. Apparently there are some Indian tribes that had passed down accounts of that event. I mean, not like from close to it, but in Washington state and maybe in California areas, there'd been some Indians that had felt the earthquakes, saw the ash, and Mount Mazama, the highest point left on it, I think, is over 8,000 feet. And I believe the peak was somewhere around 20,000 feet, 18 to 20,000 feet. So it was a pretty dang big mountain. And it's part of Crater Lake National Park. There's a access road that goes around it. I might actually do a video on that, but not right now. It's a beautiful park. There's a lodge, the southwest, I think, or is it west lodge? It's the main lodge. There's a cafeteria, there's a hotel, a couple of visitor centers, there's a camping area. And it's a park, so you have to pay to get in during most of the year. That's kind of what's holding me back on it, is these videos are expensive to make in the first place. I've invested money in the camera, I've invested money in the mount system, I've invested money into the actual recording. It costs me a ton of gas to do this. I have to put premium in the Subaru, and I want to kind of stem the hemorrhaging funds on this, which is why I haven't bought a new camera yet. But it's like $30 to get into the park for a vehicle, so I'm gonna wait until the entry booths aren't manned, and the park's still open. They just don't charge an entry fee. Some of the services aren't available when they close the entry booths, though. But if I can find a day when it's either free entry day or they aren't charging entry for the rest of the year until the next season begins, I'll go up there and do a video. To get that wiring harness stop rattling. elementary school that was a park ranger at the Crater Lake National Park. We went on field trips to the park. Let's see, we did, I think, 3 field trips. We went once when it was hot. We did a hike, and then we went once at the beginning of winter, and there was snow, but it wasn't really conducive for snowshoeing. But we did go around the lodge, not the lodge, the visitor center, and we talked to a bunch of the staff. And then we went back once at kind of the end of winter, and there was a lot of snow. There's a visitor center / cafeteria type thing, and it's an old wooden building, and it's 1 floor, but it's got a 2-story high roof in the middle. And I remember the bus parked in the parking lot, and we started getting our cold weather gear on and our snowshoes, and someone was like, well, where's the lodge? I need to use the bathroom. And the teacher pointed, and couldn't really tell what he was pointing at, so we started walking kind of in that direction, and I kind of looked around and realized, oh, we're on top of the lodge. We're on top of the building. So I walked my classmates down the back of the roof and then around, and then one face of the building was exposed. The whole rest of the building was covered with snow. Not sure if I'm on the right road anymore, but that's no big deal. Yeah, it was pretty amazing having a whole class of 5th graders running around barely supervised. But I do recall no one got hurt, and we didn't get into any trouble, and no one got lost. Must have been 6 foot of snow on top of the roof of the building, and there was probably 15 to 17 feet of snow pack. And of course they blow snow out of the parking lot, so the parking lot was ringed with this enormous wall of snow, and someone had snowshoed up one side of it and kind of made a little path up there. And what did we do? We went up on the roof of the freaking thing, and we were jumping head first into the snow. Because while it was 15 foot of snow, the first 4 foot was just soft powder. We had someone down at the bottom, so when you got stuck face down in the snow, they'd grab your ankles and pull you out. I think the first few times we jumped off the roof, it was foot first, so. Oh yeah, that's right. The time that we went when it was really hot, we hiked down. So I'm not being very descriptive of Crater Lake itself. It's in a caldera. It's basically a lake in the bottom of where a mountain used to be, and the sides, so the lake comes up to the sides of this caldera, and they're almost sheer vertical, and they're a couple thousand feet high in places. So and there's no way to drive down to the lake. You have to actually park at the rim and then hike down a trail. it's just it's pretty big, actually. It looks small from the rim, but it's pretty big. There's another small island, if you could even really call it that. I'm gonna go left. Yes, 800. That's the road I want. Actually, I wanted to go right. Oh well, I'm exploring. So there's a second little island. It's not really, it's mostly just a chunk of land sticking vertically up out of the lake, kind of on the edge. It's called Phantom Ship. And that was another chipmunk. Okay, it looked like a rat for a moment. What? Anyways, there's Wizard Island, which is the big cinder cone that you can walk around on. There's Phantom Ship, which, if you had rock climbing gear, maybe you could you have a little fun with it, but it's a national park, so don't hold your breath on actually being able to do that. I'm not sure if it's still there or not, but there was a log floating vertically in the lake called Old Man, and it's been floating in the river, in the lake, I think since the 1900s, like 1910, 1920. There's pictures from shortly after the lake itself was discovered of the expedition actually having a member of standing on top of the log, and the bottom of the log is obviously waterlogged, but the top was sticking up maybe 6 or 7 feet above the water, maybe even further. And the last time I was at Crater Lake, and I saw a note that only about 1.5 feet of Old Man was still up out of the water. So it's possible that it's now somewhere on the bottom. Crater Lake has some of the cleanest, freshest, purest water in the entire planet. Normally, like a regular lake, you might be able to see about 2 or 3 feet down, but at Crater Lake you can see 30 to 40 feet down on a bad day. Jacques Cousteau actually had an expedition. I don't want to know how, but they did actually explore the bottom of the lake, especially in some of the deeper places. That was a while ago. Fortunately, Jacques Cousteau has passed away. But there was algae, which normally grows within 3 or 4 feet of the surface of the water, was growing like 70 or 80 feet down or something. A bit unusual like that. Just because of how clear the water is. It doesn't have impurities in it to, oh wow, that's unexpected. That was snow or ice. But yeah, there's no impurities, so the light will go much, much further down into the lake. There's a permanent no-fly zone over top the lake itself. It's beautiful from the air, but it's also extremely dangerous. We have the jet stream that usually blows right over the top of the park, and we've got a giant bowl basically, and it creates some incredibly powerful and unpredictable wind currents, rotor vortices. Yeah, I can remember when I was still in elementary school, maybe middle school, a helicopter, I think it was a privately owned helicopter, violated the no-fly zone, and they flew down underneath the rim of the caldera, and the pilot crashed and 4 people were killed, and the helicopter sunk, and I think it's still there. And they were able to actually measure the total pollutants in the water from the helicopter. Fuel and oil from the engines leaked into the water in it. It was unfortunate. It's not the only helicopter down there. There's at least 2 others that I've heard of, and maybe an airplane. So I'm going from memory here, but the flight restriction on that airspace directly over the lake is 2,000 feet above the highest point of the rim, which is about 8,000 feet. I stopped the time. So I believe you can't fly under 10,000 feet when over the lake. Unless it's an emergency, or you're flying fire bomber or support aircraft for firebombing. I was up at Crater Lake at the very highest point of the rim, and I actually saw a thunderstorm that was west of the park. And I actually saw the lightning strike and started a giant freaking fire that burned a couple thousand acres out there. And as soon as that thunderstorm had kind of cleared away, I was standing in the lee of a boulder because there was a bit of wind. It was pretty cold. Thunderstorm had really cooled it off. And a twin-engine bird dog, it's a spotter airplane, flew right over me at about 300 feet above me. Since I was in the lee of the boulder, I did not hear him coming. So there's no sound, no sound, no sound. Suddenly, lots of sound. Made me jump. That was unfortunate. Burned a lot of forest land. But it's not too bad because most of that forest has already come back. So forest fires are part of the circle of life. So if it's not apparent in the video, I'm heading downhill. It's actually fairly steep. It's about as steep as the uphill was to come up to, well, this area. My hope is that I read the maps right and this dumps me back out on Highway 62 eventually. Going the right direction at least. But if it doesn't go where I thought it would, or I'm on the wrong road, I can still, at this time, remember my way back. So that's always an option. road that goes east-west north of me, so worst case scenario, I'll hit that eventually. Climbing a little more, it's up to 55 now. They're everywhere up here. There's just a random line on my GPS now. A random wavy line in light gray in the middle of nowhere. There's no roads on the GPS, so I don't know what it means. Maybe it's a magical river or something. Getting a little dust from the windows being down. Still heading downhill though. Temperature just dropped back to 50. Pretty amazing how that works sometimes. Oh yeah, I see the highway now on the map, going the right direction. When I find where this road connects to the highway, I will come back another time and do a return the opposite direction trip. Shaw's the next road, I think. Maybe. We'll see. Sunbeam there. Wow, the temperature really dropped. It's back down to 45. I do believe there is cell service at Crater Lake, at least at the lodge. Alright, what does the sign say? Snow Park, 2 miles to the right. Narrow, steep road. This, I believe, is the road that I want. This is road for 830. Yeah, temperature's still dropping. It's almost 40 now. It's a lot warmer up at the top than I was expecting. I was expecting it to be in the 30s. One road I really want to drive and record, but it's a road that is typically very rainy, and I'm not sure how the video would be. I use Rain-X on the windshield, so when I'm driving at highway or freeway speeds, the water just blows straight up off the top of the windshield. But the camera is pretty far back from the windshield due to the steepness of the windshield. So I'm not sure if that would work well or not. I might have to just give it a shot and hope for the best. Yeah, I'm getting really close to the highway now. Must be one of these little gullies causing some cool air to pool, and then it runs kind of down into the valley below, because now the temperature's spiking back up again. Maybe I can get an app for my phone that'll let me record an actual track of where I've been, and then I can upload that or attach that to put that in the screen grab of that in the video. I used to have an app for my old phone that did that, but it was made by some Russian group or person, And I'm not entirely sure I trust that app. That phone got hacked really hard. It's also a really old phone. I should be crossing this. There's a creek or a stream on the right. It's not exactly visible through the trees, but I should be crossing that fairly soon because I'm hopefully going to be hitting the highway. I want to go back to Union Creek, eat my lunch, and go for a hike. Then I can head home. That was my plan for the day today. Far down the cut goes on the left. It's very steep down, and then I think there's a creek down there, and then it comes back up real steep on the other side, and it's really close. Kind of a camping area maybe on the right there, I don't know. Yeah, there's a little stream crossed over there. Where it's depicted on my GPS screen is potentially outdated. The mapping on the, I think it's 6 years out of date now. If there's anyone that knows of a cell phone app that will let me record my like a trail and then make that into an image that I could manipulate and upload, that would be cool. Even if it's a paid app, as long as it's not expensive, I'd be all for that. That kind of app is also, it can be potentially extremely helpful if you are exploring. If you start recording a track when you leave pavement and you get lost, you can always just follow your track back. This road may actually dump me out in Union Creek. I know that there's a road that connects there, but it wasn't shown on the map. The map isn't exactly perfect. This feels so remote, but I'm looking at my GPS and the highway is like, if I really was desperate, I could just go right and just hike straight to it. It's really not that far away. It's less than a quarter mile away. But I keep turning away from it. I think I'm too high to connect to it still. I'm hungry. I want to eat. Keep getting distracted looking at the left. Crater Lake, I was, last time I was there, I was stopping off to get something to eat, and yeah, I didn't plan for that day very well. Thought I would be fine until I got back home, and I got there and I got super starving, but digress. Walking through the parking lot, and there's like a tour bus full of people from out of the country, and they were all walking through the parking lot, and a small family, it was like a man and his wife, and maybe his wife's sister, and 2 of their kids were walking in front of me down the sidewalk along the edge of the parking lot towards the cafeteria, and they were about 20 feet in front of me, and I just kind of glanced to the left a little bit, and there was this little critter just crossing the parking lot, walking right between people, like 3 feet away from me. And I didn't think anything of it for a moment, and then it hit me like a brick to the side of the head. It was a wild fox. I just didn't care that there was, 200 people within, 300 feet of them. Just walked right through the middle of it all. Then I tried to get a picture of it, because, it's not often you get to stand, 2 foot in front of a fox, but he disappeared around the back of a tree, and what I call the out of bounds part, the rim. Basically, in the parking lot, there's the sidewalk, and then there's a second little trail, and if you go step off that trail towards the lake, there's like a 1,000-foot fall. So if you lose your footing or you just go too far, you're done. And people get seriously injured or killed up there somewhat frequently. So your selfie with Crater Lake in the background or whatever is less important than your life, so don't do stupid things. Don't go past the handrails. If it's like an honest thing, like you are in the safe areas and something collapses, which is very uncommon, then you fall down and you don't die and they have to rescue you. Like the park covers the costs of that. But if you got video on your phone or your friend's phone or whatever and shows you walking basically off the cliff, they'll rescue you. They'll call in park rescue, and then they'll hand you the bill for the costs. It's not free to get rescued from down there. I think you can also get charged, but I don't know anything about that. Or banned from the park. Hillsides to gullies to ridge lines into like a valley. It's such a diverse experience being out here. You go 2 miles and it's like a different world. I'm actually driving away from the highway now, so go figure. I have no idea where this road goes. Hopefully it doesn't get too muddy. I don't want to have to turn around at this point. I'm hungry. I could afford an RV. I'd go camping. I don't have anywhere to put it though. Smells like someone's smoking some meat, actually. Got that hickory scent. Back up to 55 again. Degrees, not miles an hour. Only going 30. I think the fastest I've gone off-road today is 35. Oh, look at that. I made it back to Highway 62. I did one giant loop, although I'm not where I started. I'm further up the highway. Guess I can do a quick run down to Union Creek. Oh wow, I know where this is. Okay. Well, thanks for watching. I don't know how much more I'll upload, but have a good day. Jeez, why I'm turning around. Oh well. I'm hungry. I'm gonna go eat at Union